Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Million Dollar Body Podcast, the intersection of physical success, time freedom, and adventure. I'm Nate Palmer. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do at the gym, nothing seemed to make a difference in how you looked? Have you ever looked at guys doing less weight than you, worse form, and thought, how does that guy look so good? How is he building such a good muscle? The path is really not as secret as you might think, or as other trainers or people on Instagram make it seem. In this episode, I'm going to share with you my top 3 muscle groups that you must start training in order to go from Greek God or from dad bod to Greek God. And I'm going to give you my favorite cable and dumbbell exercise for each one. So no matter if you're at a gym, you're at home, you still have access. You can do both of these things. You can combine these into a nice little pre-holiday muscle building workout that I'm going to give you at the end. And then if you stick around, I'll actually put it into the comments right as soon as the episode wraps up. So you'll be able to download that, get it going before tomorrow. So you can use this if you want to look it up. You want to use the extra calories for your Thanksgiving feast for a little something. That lean and powerful, athletic look, that Greek God look, it can come much easier than you think if you're willing to give it a shot. The secret is simple. Train specific muscle groups harder to create a bigger frame for your body and then create a smaller waist by losing fat appropriately. I'll tell you this right now. There's a caveat here. Smart people hate this. Smart people hate this because smart people love to overthink things. They've already done a lot of research. They know that deadlifts are the best exercise. So when I talk about this and I talk about deadlifts not being a part of the program, people go, well, where do the deadlifts fit in? What am I going to be training my spinal erectors? How am I going to get a chance to hit my transverse abdominis? Where does upper and lower pecs play into this? When are we ever going to do bicep curls? Because you're overthinking it. When I program for a lot of people, I hear all the time people saying, well, I saw your program, but actually I ended up adding in some squats just because I wanted to test what my max was. I'm like, that wasn't a part of the program. I didn't say squats, or I didn't want to lose strength in my bench press. So I added that in kind of at the end. I just do like a 3x10 on that. And then honestly, when I tell other trainers my strategy for getting people to look bigger, have more physical, a more imposing physical figure to have more confidence, look better in clothes, they are surprised as well because a lot of trainers are just bought into the myth that you must do barbell squats if you want to be in fitness in any capacity. It's like, aren't you supposed to be training legs? What about the glutes? The glutes are the biggest muscle in the body. Here's the thing. Damn, chill. If you chase 2 rabbits, you're going to catch 0 of them. So I can pretty much guarantee you that the guy, and I don't know if this is you or not, this is someone but I guarantee you've heard this before. You're going to hear that this Thanksgiving, sitting around the table, someone's going to be like, listen, I want to get stronger. I want to get really strong. I want to get bigger, build some muscle. I want to get leaner so you can see my abs. And then I'm trying to run a 5K. I'm going to do a Spartan race, something like that. And I guarantee you that in 1 year from now, that person who's chasing 4 or 5 different disparate goals is going to look the same and, maybe have an injury tacked on for their trouble. Pick a focus, stick with it. You don't have to do this training program for the rest of your life. I'm just giving you the tools that you can, if you want to, you're like, I'm going to shift into a routine where I'm going to actually grow the muscles that are going to make me look a certain way. You're going to have the ability to do that. When I was first training, I was that guy. I was the smart guy. I was reading so much, so many different inputs. This guy said, squat every day. Smola, baby, let's go. This guy said, 2 daily workouts. This guy's saying, oh, you only need 2 workouts per week, and they both have to be full body. And so I'm starting to get information from all these different places, and I don't exactly know which one is which. So I'm trying to combine them into these bastardized programs that didn't work. My first couple of years as a trainer, I was an atrocious trainer for myself, always doing the worst stuff, force feeding myself barbell deadlifts, barbell back squats, things like that. And then surprise, surprise, I'd always be hurt in some capacity. So this is not just, I'm not calling anyone else out here. This is a me thing. And I don't want you to follow in this path. My results got significantly better when I started narrowing my focus. Because here's what happens. I think a lot of guys, specifically dads, guys, we want to look bigger and stronger. We want to have the appearance of looking bigger, right? But then we start going well, I don't want to be all show and no go. I still want to be athletic. And so we take our bodybuilding, we'll call it a bodybuilding routine, and we add some plyos in it. We sprinkle some jumps in there, sprinkle some athletic stuff. And then we're like, well, I also I don't want to lose my strength. I want to get weaker. So then you'd add a dash of barbell deadlifts or some loaded carries or different things like that. And all of a sudden your program, which was this tightly packaged program that was going to deliver you this one result, is now an amalgamation that doesn't actually deliver a specific result. In fact, it's probably detrimental because the recovery piece is not going to be hit if you're adding and adding and adding and adding. So if you want to pick a result and stick to it. And by the way, just to massage your fears, the only way to do these things is to get stronger. The only way you're going to build muscle is by getting stronger. If you're doing the same pink weights on these every single day, even if you're doing a 25, 30 reps, really getting a burn, nothing's going to happen because you're never giving your body any reason to grow. Our body grows as a response, as a defense mechanism, because it's like, hey, I feel like we're about to get crushed under this heavy bar. And if I want to survive till tomorrow, I need to build some muscle fibers in my chest, shoulders, and arms so that I can lift that back off myself and prevent myself from being crushed by what's probably, a log in the forest. Body's not that smart. It's like still kind of trapped in the jungle. So we have this evolutionary mechanism that keeps us safe and protected, and we can't trigger that evolutionary mechanism without getting stronger. So you're like, oh, I don't want to lose my strength. You're not going to lose your strength in a bodybuilding routine if you're doing it right. You're not going to lose your strength doing any of these things if you're doing isolation exercise or whatever else. In fact, you'll probably fill in some of the gaps that you may have created for yourself by chasing all these disparate goals all the time. So if you want to have the Greek god look, and by that I mean broad shoulders, narrow waist, big chest, big arms, big, thick, dense back, good posture, here are the muscle groups you need to focus on. We'll just go right into it. Number one is the lats. We want to do the lats. And I know what you're thinking is that well, I thought we're looking at it from the front, right? We're looking in the mirror. Why not start with the chest, right? That's what a lot of people think. But the lats are actually awesome because they are one of the biggest muscle groups in the body. They're the biggest in the upper body by far. And when you have big lats, you actually have additional real estate in the front. So you've seen those guys who walk around with imaginary lat syndrome, they're bumping into walls with their elbows and stuff like that. We want you to look like that, minus the imaginary part and actually having lat syndrome, where your lats are just a little bit bigger. So they're extending from your back. And what's great about that is that they taper at the bottom to kind of tie into the low back. So from the low back, they come up into a look like almost like a triangle to give you this nice V-shaped taper to your torso. So right off the bat, lats are an amazing thing to train because if you're doing it right, you're going to be able to create that. The back's going to look broader and thicker. It's going to create that V taper from the front and give you that powerful boxer look from the back. Boxers always have great lats from all their hooks. So lats are really, really important. Okay. But most people train lats wrong. They think lats equals lat pull down. So they're on the lat pull down, arching their back and really pulling down hard. And that's not how we do it. Okay. So I'm going to give you a quick tip on how to train the lats. And I'm going to tell you my two favorite exercises. So with the lat, you don't want to be leaned back. You don't want your back arched. You want to have your abs tight the entire time. For any pulling motion, whether that's a row, a horizontal pull, or a vertical pull, like a pull down or a pull up, what we want to do is imagine that our elbow is being driven back into our knee, into our hip. Forget the knee part. Driven back into our hip. The closer you can get your elbow to the hip, the more your lat is activating. And for those of you who are just listening and can't see me on video, one thing that you want to make sure you're doing is as that arm sweeps back, the elbow doesn't go behind the back. Once the elbow gets to about the torso, that's when the lat stops being actively involved in that pulling motion. And when you start pulling your elbows behind your back, you start getting more upper back, rhomboids, shoulders, and then sometimes even the front delt if you're doing it wrong. So again, a lot of people are like, well, isn't that training more muscle fibers? Isn't that great? No, not really. We want to make sure that we're staying very specific to what we're focused on. We want to pick a focus and go all in on that. By the way, if you're not watching this, my beard looks great today. Just wanted you to know that. So the best exercise that you can be doing for this is the single arm lat pull down. I love this exercise. Leaned in, really pulling that hip down in the front, keeping your abs tight. You'll really feel this in your lat. That's my favorite cable exercise for the lats. And if you don't have a cable, you're working out at home, then a lat focused row. So doing just a dumbbell row, hand on the bench, same knee on the bench, other leg off the bench, other hand grabbing the dumbbell, and then again, pulling the elbow to the hip. That's going to use your lats a lot more. If you bring your elbow up like into a right angle. So it's like extending from your torso, and then drive your elbow way back. You're not really hitting the lats at all at that point. That's rhomboids, rear delts, mid back. So just be careful with your elbow position. Keep it nice and tucked. Drive the elbow into the hip if you would like to target your lats at all. The next muscle group that we need to be focusing on if we want to have that Greek god look are shoulders. Shoulders are an awesome muscle group, because just by increasing your shoulders just a little bit, like even a ½ inch, so like a ¼ inch on each one. So for a ½ inch circumference measurement around your shoulders, and then decreasing your waist by a ½ inch, which is pretty easy through diet, especially if you're following $1 million body protocols, then you're going to look an inch bigger on top and an inch smaller at your waist. It provides this amazing visual like look that a lot of Hollywood actors use to look the part for their movies. So again, like I think a lot of us have this ego attached to it. It was like, well, I don't want to like just have the appearance. I don't want to be some fluffy bodybuilder. By the way, someone told me that they thought I had fluffy bodybuilder muscles one time, and I was personally offended by it. Shouldn't have been, but I was. So in order to if I can give you, rather than being like, okay, you got to work out for a long time, you got to take your overhead press from 100 pounds to 250 pounds to get this look. If I could give you that same thing in 2 to 3 months without having to do a ton of heavy weight, put your shoulders at risk, and give you some really light isolation exercises that you can do in a very specific manner, why wouldn't you take that up? Why wouldn't you want to look a little bit bigger on your shoulders and a little bit more narrow at your waist? Because at the end of the day, like, yes, it'd be nice to have everything perfectly proportioned, be training 100% of the time, doing our exact squats and deadlifts and everything else. But we have to make a choice. We have to pick something. We have to stick to it. So why not build that physique that is very like pleasing, very aesthetically pleasing? There's actually I think the golden ratio actually applies to this a lot of times in terms of your shoulders to your chest, to your waist, to your hips, to your legs, to your arms. And there are calculators you can use online that you can find out, like based on your height, what the golden ratio is for you. I did it one time and I was very depressed because I was like, oh, I need to be 280 pounds. Not happening. I'll be happy at 210. Thank you so much. So shoulders, especially the medial shoulder, the side, and the rear delt, the back, because those two don't get a lot of love. And that medial delt, just having a little bit bigger medial delts, that gives you that appearance of more width in the shoulders and torso. It's just a more attractive look evolutionarily. And I can say that with 100%, like that, like no judgment at all. That's just what is an eye-catching look. So making sure that you're hitting the right muscle groups and not really focusing on the front of the shoulder, because you're getting a lot of that already done through pressing, push-ups, bench press, etc. Okay, so the best exercise for that from a cable perspective is a cable Y raise. Start with your hands crossed in front of you, grabbing the two handles, lifting up and back like this. That's going to get the rear and the medial delts, and then bringing them back down in front. Cable Y raise. Amazing exercise. If you only have dumbbells, then I would do a side dumbbell raise, but make sure you're doing it in the scaption plane. So if you raise them directly to the sides, that's called the frontal plane because of, I guess, I don't know. I don't really know why. You'd think that maybe the frontal plane would be forward and backwards. It's not. It's side. Right here, frontal plane. So rather than doing it in the frontal plane like a lot of people do at the gym, we're going to move our hands to a 30 degrees in. Okay, so move their hands 30 degrees in. So now you're lifting your hands in front. The thing about lateral raises, the thing about side dumbbell raises, is that a lot of people lift these up. We use our wrists, we use our traps, we use our, like the bounce, that body English right here. We lift up, okay? With a lat or lateral side raise, what we want to do is we want to lift out, okay? It's a small difference. Very subtle. It makes a huge difference. My shoulders really had a hard time growing until I started using this tactic, this tip. Lift your hands and try to get them as far away from each other as possible. Try to push them into the walls, and you're going to put all that stress onto the medial shoulder and keep it out of your neck and traps, okay? Because your traps can do a lot of work there. That's not what the area we want to grow. The last one is going to be the triceps. So we talked about the lats, we talked about the shoulders, the medial deltoids, and then the triceps. This is the biggest muscle of your arms, bigger than your biceps because it's 3 of them and biceps is only 2. So the biggest muscle of your arm is going to make your arms look bigger and stronger, especially if you're a taller guy, you got longer arms, and you've had a hard time breaking out of the skinny arm zone. I feel like I see a lot of guys right now walking around with bigger bellies, smaller arms. And like, honestly, like not only is, I feel like that a less desirable look for a lot of us, but it's also indicative of a big time insulin resistance. So if that's you, if you're feeling that right now, then we need to address your nutrition first. Yes, of course, start using these things because as you start peeling off fat, you'll start seeing that muscle reveal itself. It's excellent. But if you feel like you have that bigger belly and smaller arms, there is a clear sign of insulin resistance, and you need to address that because otherwise you're going to be banging your head against a wall trying to figure out how to get the results that you're looking for. So when you're viewed from the back with bigger triceps, your arms tend to add to your general width. You look wider and bigger. And when you view it from the front, you're going to get that kind of that chiseled arm that you really see on like Hollywood actors. So you're going to get the bumps. We like the bumps. Okay. So the best exercise that you can do here, because we want to make sure we're training these smartly to avoid elbow injury. So while the close grip bench press can be a great exercise for the tricep, it actually can be gnarly on your wrists, gnarly on your elbows, and set you up for a long-term injury. Elbow injuries don't heal fast. So making sure that you really treat your elbows nice. And if something's coming up where you're like, I don't know if I feel this, stop that exercise. Don't try to push through it. Don't try to like warm up around it. Just stop the exercise, move on. Okay. With that in mind, the two exercises that I love here from the cable perspective, the cross body triceps extension. Again, grabbing right hand grabs the left side, left hand grabs the right side, bring the elbows down here. So you're like crossed up, like a mummy style, like you're about to get into your coffin or whatever. And then press those elbows down and back. Once you get your arms all the way down, I like to sweep my entire arm back just slightly to really engage what's called the long head of the triceps, the back of the arm. So you're going to really feel it, especially if you're holding there, squeezing, and then releasing. Okay. Cross body triceps extension. It's a great exercise. If you don't have a cable machine, you're working out at home, grab the incline dumbbell skull crusher instead. Bringing those hands down to the sides of your head, pressing back up, extending, and squeezing the triceps there. Those two exercises are great for building up. We're primarily looking at building the longer head of the tricep, but it's really hard to isolate. You only get the small head, only get the medial head, only get the long head. You're not going to, it's hard to do. But so what we want to do is we want to use an exercise that is going to put the majority of the stress into the muscle belly and keep it out of your tendons, ligaments, and joints. Very important here. Okay. Now, those are the three exercises. Now, if you are already sitting at if you're a guy and you're sitting around 24, 25% body fat, none of this is going to help. Okay. Yes, you can build up some strength. Yes, you can build up some muscle, but it's not going to be visible. It's not going to be revealed because there's too much fat sitting on top of it. So in the same time, if you're trying to cut fat while you're doing this to really reveal that Greek god physique, and I firmly believe that every man owes it to himself to get into the best shape of his life as an adult. You can't lean back and be like, oh, in high school, no one cares. Get in the best shape of your life as an adult. You have to do it at least once. You have to understand what that costs, what that looks like, and then decide where you want to live at, because it's very, very important to have your physical health. If you don't have your physical health, you don't have a lot of options. The man with his health has 1,000 dreams. The man without has only one. Physical health, visceral fat, body fat, all closely linked. So making sure that you are staying lower fat, just to have a longer, more fulfilling, more active, more vibrant life. Okay. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So in order to get the most out of this, what we need to be doing is focusing on some fat loss techniques. We've talked ad nauseum about nutrition. I talk about nutrition pretty much all the damn time. So what we need to be doing right now is from a physical perspective, from a workout perspective, from training, we're working to get that fat off. So one easy way to do that is by adding in quick finishers to the end of each of your workouts. So just spending 5 or 10 minutes burning it up. So a couple different ways of doing this. Sleds, I love. Treadmill incline walks, I love. Assault bikes or rowers. Those would be the 4 that I would generally recommend as finishers. Now, a finisher, I would want to pick 5 to 10 minutes and then just beast out a bunch of intervals. So 10 to 20 seconds of a hard sprint, 40 to 50 seconds of a lower key slow down, and then repeat that on the minute. That's just an easy exercise prescription. It's going to help you drop fat, even if you choose to have, 27 servings of cranberry sauce this Thanksgiving. Up to you though. Live your life. Okay. So here's how I would set up this as a workout. And after this concludes in the Facebook group, you can come in here and see it all written out. If you're just listening to this, make sure you join the group to get access to the actual workout. Go to n8trainingsystems.com/group to get there. So I will be putting that in the group, on this video just a little bit later. So if you want that and you were part of the group, jump on in, check it out, grab that. And then hopefully you can use this as a way of building some muscle this Thanksgiving, or anytime you're ever going to be like going out to have a holiday party, or just a time where you're going to eat more, rather than having to like restrict yourself and always be like, no, I can't have that thing. Make sure you're having some good days during the week, and then utilize those bigger meals, those parties, those festivities as a way of building more muscle. So that's a really simple strategy that can work without really having you show up to your grandma's house with Tupperware like a huge fucking nerd. So making sure that you have just a strategy, a plan in place. And if you don't, let me know. I'd love to talk through it with you. And if you want to jump on my calendar and see what's like what we can do together, go to calendly.com, calendly.com/N8training/strategy. And we can talk a little bit more. Again, that'll link will be in the group as well. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm really passionate about making sure that people know exactly how to get the results they're looking for. And you are able to go to the gym effectively, use your time very, very well, start seeing results, because I don't want you to always dread going to the gym. I want you to feel like, okay, when I go, I can see how my arms look different. I can see my chest and my body changing. I can see all these things happening. That way, like your TV to gym time loving ratio starts creeping down. So you start liking the gym more and more and more until maybe you like it as much as you like watching Netflix. And in that case, when you have a little bit of free time, what are you going to go do? You're going to hit the gym. So I just want you to have the strategies in place. And then when you go there, you don't have to make hard decisions. You don't have to think too much. You can just go execute. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you have an amazing day. We'll talk to you soon.